Today I've come out looking for opportunities for some very specific types of images. These are going to be black and white, but not high contrast, moody black and white. No, I'm going for low contrast, grayscale black and white images. And I'm hoping I'll find a few opportunities for that this afternoon. And I'll explain a bit more about why I'm doing that as we get a bit further into the video. I hope you'll enjoy it. So, I said in the intro I was looking for opportunities to do this low contrast grayscale black and white photography. This is the kind of edit that will work well when the light isn't great and you haven't got a lot of mood. So when you've got like fine clouds or no clouds, rather than having like heavy clouds that will let you create a very dark and contrasty moody image, going for this very light, quite bright, not really high key, but more, as I said, grayscale, kind of almost like a pencil sketch effect, could work really well with the right kind of conditions, which I think is what we've got today, and also with the right subjects and scenes, because it's not going to work for all of them. And the reason I wanted to do it is I'm always looking for ways to expand my available shooting time. If you've watched the channel for a while, you know I love my sunrises and sunsets, and it won't be long before it's getting so warm here that the only time I want to go out and do photography is first thing in the morning when it's coolest. In fact, it's already warming up. We had a little bit of a mini heat wave the last week. We had temperatures in the sort of high 20s. It's down a bit colder today, 2021 today, but still comfortably warm, t-shirt weather. And it's only, what is it, the 20th of March today when I'm filming this. While they've got the opportunity to get out in the sort of the closer to the middle of the day, I like to have opportunities to do different kinds of images, and I think this is one that will work. But as I said, it's not going to work for every image, and I thought I'd come out today and have a little play, take a few shots. Some of them will work, hopefully. Some of them may not work, that's quite possible as well, and I'll kind of share my thoughts with you on whether I think an image has worked or not. I'm going to be shooting handheld because it's bright light. I don't need to be doing anything clever with long exposures, and I don't need to extend the exposure time for the light conditions. And I'm going to put my camera onto black and white preview, if you like, so I can actually see the scene in black and white when I look through the viewfinder or on the view screen at the back. And we'll take a wander around and see what we can find. The type of image I'm aiming to shoot, I think finding the right scene is really, really important. We need something that's fairly delicate. We don't want any great big bold shapes too close to the camera. Remember, we're kind of looking for like a pencil sketch effect, and if you've got anything too big and bold in there, it's just not going to look right. I also think it's important to kind of consider, if the sky is going to be in there, what's the sky going to look like? As I said, we've got kind of wispy clouds today, and those wispy clouds can make all of the difference compared to a blue sky for this kind of image. Now, I've found a scene here, I've got to be honest, I'm not 100% convinced it's going to work. I kind of got a bit of a hill, there's a path that wraps around it. Over in the background, we've got basically a city scene. We've got parts of El Campello, then probably going down to San Juan, and then down to even parts of Alicante in the background. But there's not a lot that's close to the camera that's going to create that sort of big dominant shape that is going to, you know, basically ruin the effect that I'm looking for. The composition does look quite nice, and I think I'm going to shoot it. And that brings me on to the second thing that I'm looking for, and that is getting the exposure right, because I want to make sure that I'm going to preserve highlight details. Now, I normally do that anyway, but it's also particularly important here because those little wispy clouds in the sky can, as I said, make all of the difference. So if I blow the highlights out on them, that's no good at all. But I also need to make sure that I got plenty of detail in the shadows. The kind of image that I'm looking for here, like I said, a bit like a pencil sketch, there's not going to be any deep shadows in there. Everything's going to be quite light. There might be some, you know, individual dark lines, but in general it's going to be, you know, quite bright and light. So I've got to make sure that I'm not underexposing too much, because I'm going to have to recover shadow detail to make that work. But we'll give this one a go. I'm going to be shooting this, I'm guessing, probably around sort of 20mm. Again, it's going to be handheld. Let's see what we can get. Now, I've got to be careful because the sun is kind of over that way. Again, this is going to be an image that's going to be cropped quite heavily from an aspect ratio point of view. You know, 16:9, 2:1. Okay, so my histogram is good, no clip shadows, no blown highlights. I think that might work when I get it back on the computer and edit it the way that I want to, adding a little bit of texture or maybe even a little tiny bit of dehaze to bring out that fine detail in that wispy cloud in the sky. And as I said, you know, bringing the shadows up, making sure that it has the right effect. I'm going to do one more, just tweak the composition just a fraction. Because we've also got over in the background, we've got the big mountains over by Alicante, and there's even the castle, the hill with the castle on in there as well. Don't think this one really worked for Greyscale, but I had a go. I also decided to have a go at a conventional black and white edit and also a colour version. Nothing's wasted, and I'll share them all with you now. Sometimes you see a scene, you're really not sure about it, but I don't have to spend a lot of time on it. I don't have to spend any money on it. It's digital, so I'm going to give it a go. What I've got is there's a hill with a few trees kind of sticking out the top, and there's just a little bit of that wispy cloud over the top. And I'm thinking I'm going to shoot this vertical to include a bit more of the sky, to maybe pull out some texture in that wispy cloud. It might end up getting cropped down maybe to a square or something like that, I don't know. But I just think it might work as, you know, kind of a shape and texture with that grayscale effect. So we'll give it a go. So there is a little bit of cloud coming out of the top there. So I don't want to zoom in too much. I'm going to try and balance it nicely. So I want kind of like an even distribution of the trees as much as I can. Maybe something like that. Spotted this tree here off the side of the path, kind of scrambled down to it. I can isolate it against the sky I think, with a wide angle lens, if I get a bit lower down, the area around it's kind of scrubby and not very attractive, but it might work with this particular style of image, particularly as we've still got a little tiny bit of wispy cloud up there that might work. So we'll give that a quick go. I'll make sure that I get all of the tree in the frame. I don't want any of the branches going out of the frame. Another little hill over there which has got some trees along the top. Now there's two possibilities I can see for this. One is the group of 3 trees. They're not completely on their own, there's some other bushes and that up there, so that might not work, but it might. I've got to be careful I don't get any of too much of the bottom of the hill in, because there's some distractions in there, so it's going to be quite a minimalist shot, I think. And then I think the other option is to just isolate a single tree, maybe even vertical, and see what that looks like. I actually like the little one. So I am nearly at the end of my little hike around this location, Punta de Gosa. I'll put the name there if I haven't done already. It's quite a little hike around actually, with you know, going off the beaten track occasionally to look for scenes. I think I've done about probably about 8.5 kilometers walk around here, so quite nice. And hopefully I've got a few images that will work for my little grayscale project that I wanted to do today. Of course, there's always the possibility that if they don't work as grayscale, they might work as a conventional black and white or even as colour. But I'm going to try to make them go with the grayscale effect, because that's what I really wanted to do today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, you know the routine. Like, shares and comments, really appreciated. If you're new here and you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. Check out my recommended viewing, both from me and from somebody else. And as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch. Hopefully going a bit further afield for the next video a bit later on this week. So don't forget to check in for that. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.